This episode is sponsored by Kerkering Barberio, your trusted partner in tax, audit, and outsourced accounting services. Serving Sarasota, Manatee, and the greater Tampa Bay area for over 50 years, KB helps clients achieve their personal and business goals. Visit kbgrp.com to learn more. I met Freddy Williams 2 years ago. That's when he was one of the Business Observer's 40 Under 40 winners. I've since seen him take on bigger and loftier challenges in his career. To read more about leaders like Freddie, subscribe to the Business Observer. Go to businessobserverfl.com. Hello and welcome to the Business Observer from the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Freddy Williams, president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Suncoast and Tampa Bay. Freddie, welcome and thanks for being here.
Hi, Mark. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation because we're going to talk about your sort of rise through the Boys and Girls Club and, going back to a young kid and also some big changes happening at the Boys and Girls Club. You guys have done a lot as we're here in early 2025. You did a lot in 2024, it seems like.
Yeah. We did do a lot to be proud of, but what we're most excited for, the changes we made in 2024, so 2025 and beyond, we're poised for significant impact.
Yeah. All right, before we get into that, we're going to do some rapid fire questions so our audience can get to know you a little better. Okay, here goes. Who is one person, dead or alive, that you would like to have dinner with?
Denzel Washington.
Excellent. And I'm going to ask you why, but Denzel's a big Boys and Girls Club supporter, as I've seen online.
He is. He's our national spokesperson, and he was recently awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor, which is one of the highest honors that a civilian can receive. But outside of just being a good actor, he's a good person.
Yeah.
When he comes to our Boys and Girls Clubs, he doesn't want any media attention, doesn't want anything. He's dialed in just for kids. And also whenever, irrespective of what you see going on in Hollywood, he's that constant good that you see in Hollywood, and just represents what we have. So we'd love to spend time with him with dinner.
I've seen these quotes pop up from him on my social media feeds, and you guys have a similarity. He's an intentional leader, and I feel like you're an intentional leader, right? You're very focused and intentional on what you're doing, and it seems like that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah, I try to be, and thank you for that. Our Boys and Girls Clubs, we try to create stronger leaders with our professionals, so we in turn can create leaders in our youth. And we spend a lot of time really understanding both the art and science of leadership. So intentionality very much is a central pillar of that work as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, second question. What is one food you would like to take to a deserted island? Or what's the one food you would take, I should say, to a deserted island?
Oh boy. I absolutely love sushi. But I don't know if I'd want to take it on a deserted island, though.
Yeah.
So I'm a big barbecue person. So maybe some brisket or pulled pork.
Yes, excellent. I like it. All right, last question. What are the two most used apps on your phone right now?
Right now, I'm actually going through a fast with our church, and one of the things I gave up for the week was social media. So
Really?
Ordinarily, social media probably number two, and phone and or text messages would be number one. But right now, it's probably email and phone.
Yeah. And all right, so you are sticking to the social media ban or whatever. You're sticking to it. The no social media this week.
I cut it off on Monday, and it's been interesting. And my wife and I hold each other accountable. We both going through a devotional together through it. And when we sit down for the devotional in the evening, we go on the iPhone and we look at the pickups and we look at what was picked up in the app. So we don't want to disappoint one another through that. So I'm sticking to it.
All right. Well, you're halfway through the week. You said you started Monday. You're halfway through. Keep it going. I like it. Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to get into some of the sort of meat of what we're talking about here. Boys and Girls Clubs is what you're doing now, but tell us a little bit about how you got into these roles and take us as far back as growing up and kind of how you discovered the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Yeah, so I discovered the Boys and Girls Clubs by accident. One summer, I got in trouble, and the cops gave me an ultimatum. They said I could either spend the rest of the summer in juvenile camp, or I could spend the rest of the summer in Boys and Girls Clubs. And I had never been in trouble with the police before, and that was a no-brainer for me. And when I got to the Boys and Girls Clubs, not really understanding how our youth development strategy works now, they told me if I stayed out of trouble, I got a free membership. They would help me become a productive member of society, help me get a job. So my first job in the Boys and Girls Club was cleaning up the locker rooms, and it was kind of cool to be able to earn money doing the same thing that I was providing services for through community service work.
Yeah,
But it felt really good to be able to work hard and earn an income off of that as a teenager. I can go to the skating rink and upgrade my skates to speed skates and know that
big
had worked
time.
hard for that.
Yes.
Yeah. The club at one point I was told I wasn't going to graduate from high school. In my community, only 3 out of 10 black males graduate from high school, and I thought I was going to be a statistic. I had a lot of people in my church, at the barbershop, that kind of looking around like they seemed to be doing okay, and so I just had come to the realization I wasn't going to graduate from high school. The clubs had different plans. They saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. They saw something in me that the school didn't, and they said, well, we went through a career exploration program, and it was determined that I should become a lobbyist because one summer we had all of our
Really.
field trips taken away, and I said, "When I grow up, I want to make sure funding is never taken away from kids." So that was kind of the start of what I would never imagine in a million dreams of a career. I started off in politics out of college, joined the boys board of the Boys and Girls Club. At the 2008 election, they were having some challenges at the club, and I came on at the staff. It's supposed to be a temporary thing, but I found my purpose, found my calling, and I have not looked back since.
Wow, amazing. Where was this? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Panama City, Florida.
So you grew up in Panama City, and yeah, that's a sobering thing to say. You thought you were going to be a statistic, and people believed in you. I mean, what was that like for you as sort of you navigated that process of I'm not going to amount to anything to people believing you, and then you climbing these steps? What was that like for you?
It felt good to know that somebody loved and supported me that didn't have to love and support me.
Yeah,
And it also gave me this sense of accountability that I didn't want to let others down. And I've also had this realization too that I carry forward in our Boys and Girls Clubs is that kids hold on to your every word. And you have to be intentional and purposeful what you do, how you show up, and making sure that you can bring your very best because you never know the potential that you can unlock in a young person through whatever an engagement it is. So, very, very important to us and something that we hold near and dear in our delivery to young people every single day.
yeah. We talked about intentional leadership, and like I said, in reading some of the things that you've said and done, I can tell that. And you were also in our Business Observer 40 under 40 issue. I got to know you a little bit then, and so intentional leadership is a big thing for you. But what is your leadership style, right? I mean, tell us about what's sort of your day to day leadership approach.
Yeah, so I subscribe to a research based concept called the 5 characteristics of exemplary leadership, and what it is there's a lot of books, there's a lot of articles that talk about leadership, but when you really boil down to it, there's 5 areas that are based in science. The first is modeling the way, model the behavior that you want others to see, so and do what you say you're going to do. The next is you want to inspire a shared vision. You if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, bring others along the way, and you got to inspire a shared vision with others. You want to enable others to act, so you want to give them the tools, resources, and support of your team so they can be successful in their careers. You want to be able to encourage the heart, not always say, "Well, why did you get this wrong?" Always taking continuous improvement approach to the work that we do. But you also want to challenge the process and you want to innovate and find new ways of being better. And if you take those 5 things, there's a lot to unpack with all of them. But I really try to keep myself grounded in that and bringing a servant's heart to the work that we do.
Yeah. All right. So that talks a little bit about your leadership. I want to segue a little bit to Boys and Girls Clubs because we were talking right before we started off the screen, off air, and you made an interesting point that a lot of people know and have heard of Boys and Girls Club, but they're not exactly sure what it does. Right? Is it a summer camp? Is it a after school program? Is it a swimming camp? Things like that. So give us that elevator pitch, right? What is the Boys and Girls Club? What is your Boys and Girls Clubs that you oversee? What do you guys do, and what is your mission?
So we help young people between 6 years old and 24 years old. 24 is a new age group for us, and I'll
Ah,
get to that why in a little bit. But we want to make sure kids progress to the next grade level and perform academically in school and have a plan for the future. We also want them to exercise and have good, healthy habits. We want to have them to have a strong moral compass and be strong leaders. With all of that, we want to equip them so they can compete in a global economy. So we have a new focus area of job and life skills to make sure that we can give them really refine those soft skills, build upon the resiliency that they have, so they can be a contributing member of society and break generational poverty.
and specific, Tampa Boys and Girls Club has made some mergers and changes. Tell us about where you guys are at right now and what those were about.
Yeah, so we realized on a couple of things that if we really want to get serious of measuring our mission, which allows us to have ways that we can measure what productive, caring, and responsible citizens are, it compelled us to expand our age up to 24 years old. So with that, we entered into a strategic merger in 2023 with an organization called Earn to Learn Florida. And what that allowed us to do is be able to generate the programmatic expertise and the ability to be able to serve older teens up to 24 years old, and also be able to have scholarships and financial literacy. Once we were able to operationalize that element, it allowed us to have a greater and stronger and compelling business case as to the critical importance of Boys and Girls Clubs, and really crystallize our purpose and the way we've evolved as a Boys and Girls Club movement. Through that, we realized that in the Tampa Bay region, that we lag behind peer markets as it relates to disconnected youth or opportunity youth. And that's defined as kids between 16 and 24 years old that either aren't in school or employed. And what we realized is that both the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Suncoast, which was its separate chapter serving Pinellas County, and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tampa Bay, which served Pasco and Hillsborough counties, which was a separate chapter, that if we really wanted to find ways that we could lift the entire Tampa Bay region, that we needed to come together for a singular focus, which is to meet the unmet demand and create additional interventions to make sure that our community is stronger. So we came together and merged. We kind of did a merger backwards.
Yeah.
Our community is a complicated community. A lot of people told us that we could never merge two described as 800-pound gorillas, two very large Boys and Girls Clubs. The two Boys and Girls Clubs in itself were in the top 10% in terms of large Boys and Girls Clubs, and very rarely do you see two large Boys and Girls Clubs come together. But it was purely strategic in nature. So what I mean by doing it backwards, we entered into a shared services agreement with one shared CEO. Then we consolidated and had all HR functions, which we shared together. Then
Right.
we did finance, then marketing, then resource development. Moving through that, as we moved to the due diligence process, we were able to gain insights and really have a purposeful analysis to know that this is the right thing to do. And so when we announced that we were merged, it was a matter of just kind of turning on a light switch and signing some paperwork
Yeah.
to bring the merger happen. And what this means is merging is our local chapter of Boys and Girls Clubs is now larger than Atlanta, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We're one of the largest boys and girls, a lot of different ways to measure it, but we're the third largest Boys and Girls Club in the 1,000 of the 1,000 different affiliates and chapters. And size isn't just for size sake, it's our
Yeah.
ability to be able to go fast, go efficient, redirect donors' contributions to go even further, and allow our employees to attract more talented employees that can stay with us a little bit longer as they zigzag within a larger enterprise.
Yeah. Wow. That is a lot happening. All right. So we're going to go back to leadership. And, you talked about people saw something in you as a young boy, as a teenager. What do you look for now in young leaders, whether it's employees at the Boys and Girls Club or maybe it's I know you're CEO level, but I'm sure you still are aware of who these kids are, and so what are the things that you're looking for when you're looking at young up and coming leaders?
I'm looking for someone who has a strong moral compass, that's going to do the right things even when it's difficult,
Yeah,
first and foremost. And the second thing that we really look for is someone that brings a spirit of continuous improvement, or realizes that they're not at their final destination. I look at myself, I'm continuously trying to find ways that I can reinvent myself and sharpen my skills and grow as a leader. And by doing that, it forces leaders to and potential leaders to be the best versions of themselves and not get complacent with everything. So those are two things that are foundational in the work that we do. I became a CEO of a boys and girls club when I was 27 years old. Had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Messed up so many things, but had I not brought that spirit of continuous learning and reinventing myself, um, I wouldn't be where I am now at 40 years old, having led multiple Boys and Girls Club organizations.
yeah. I mean, talk about that time. You're this young CEO. Are there things that stand out to you that you learned from, mistakes or just things that you did that you look back at? Yeah, I learned a lot from that. What stands out in your mind?
Yeah, there are. The first is this one recognition of, just as someone saw something in myself as a young person, board members saw something in me and potential of giving a young person in their mid 20s a shot and being one of the youngest Boys and Girls Club CEOs in the country. That was first, and making sure I can continue to have that recognition. The second is understanding how to effectively work with the board of directors. I realized through that experience that a board is a very powerful thing if you can tap into their unique skills and abilities. So it's something that we do in making sure that we bring our board along with us. Our board is able to tap into their expertise because that allows us to sharpen our organization along
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, big lesson for, I was going to say nonprofit leaders, but really for-profit leaders that have a board as well to be able to utilize board members for sure. What's a piece of leadership advice, Freddie, that you've received in your career that stands out?
A piece of leadership advice that really stands out for me is, um, never ask one of your employees or teammates to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And that leads to and is consistent with this servant leadership heart that I bring. I think our employees and our team know that that's the spirit that I bring, and by doing that, when asked, they're ready to run through a wall to make sure that they could do that because they know that it's for a specific purpose, and I'm really ready and willing to roll up my sleeves to help them along the way.
Yeah, it's certainly that's an important thing I think in any organization. At the Observer Media Group, one of the famous stories of our history is our current publisher, Emily Walsh. It's a family-owned business, and she started when she was a teenager, and she cleaned bathrooms in our buildings. That's what she did. So she will do anything. She doesn't clean the bathrooms anymore. Is there something that stands out that you've done as the CEO to kind of show that hey, I can do this. I can do other tasks.
I'll never forget when I first came in as a CEO of the Suncoast chapter. We had a fundraising event, and immediately after the fundraising event, I rip off my bow tie, take off my cufflinks, and start helping move auction items to the front and helping donors bring them out to the car. And I remember our staff saying, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm helping." And they're like, "No, no, no, you don't need to do that. Go home, like relax." I'm like, "No, like we're in this together, and I want to be here to help serve." Same thing. They try. Our staff try to keep me out of the boys and girls clubs because I am a programmer at heart. I just
Yeah,
love programs. So oftentimes I'll jump right in and help provide programs inside the clubs as well.
yeah. Talk about that. I should have asked that earlier because I was thinking about that. Your personality, you're a big personality guy. You like to be around people, and you're a Boys and Girls Club alum. So when you're in your building, are you just like, hey, I want to go to the program. I want to see what they're doing. I mean, how do you as a CEO do your CEO stuff and not get in the weeds on that? Or maybe you do. I don't know. Talk me through that.
Yeah, so you know, I cannot effectively advocate on behalf of Boys and Girls Clubs if I don't understand our programs, our people, and the children that we serve. So not only is it important for me to have a pulse on what's going on and understand the insights and attitudes of our those that are working on the front line, um, it's also important to fill my cup because this mission is important to me. So I want to get to know our club staff. I want to get to know our club kids. When I'm in the grocery store, I want to see our kids and give them high fives and them
Yeah.
know who I am because it's a missed opportunity for me to be a club alumni and CEO, but our kids not know my story or know who I am. And particularly being a person of color, knowing that
Yeah.
uh, it's important that they can see themselves in other leaders. And my friends always tease me. I'm not wearing a tie today, but I'm still one of those that hold on to wearing the tie, and I wear the tie most days to work. And people ask like, why are you wearing the tie? And I said, because I think it's important for our club kids to see a person that looks like me, that was in their shoes, that still understands personal branding and wants to show up and dress the part and see them wear a tie and jacket.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big impact for sure. All right. As we wind down, Freddie, what are we looking for? What can people expect for Boys and Girls Club of the Suncoast and Tampa Bay the rest of 2025?
So as we look into 2025, we plan to take the savings that we were able to realize through our merger and redeploy them to programs to meet the unmet demand for young people, to also expand our program offerings. We're opening 6 new Boys and Girls Clubs that we know that are coming online that we're chartering in 2025. But 6 new Boys and Girls Clubs within a 62 portfolio may not sound like a lot, but a year-over-year growth is a lot. But it's going to allow us to position ourselves for even exponential growth into the future to make sure that we could serve more kids. Fact of the matter is, yes, we serve 30,000 kids, and we have over 3,000 kids that walk through our doors every day after school. But when you look at our catchment area, we have over 500,000 kids that are in the public school systems, and we absolutely have to find a way that we can move the middle rather than just working the margins on serving young people.
Excellent. Well, Freddy Williams, CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Suncoast and Tampa Bay, thank you for joining us on the From the Corner Office podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer From the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordon. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.